We're back on our SharePoint Online site and we're talking about design usability tips. So one of the first things we talked about was you want to have a consistent look and feel across all of your pages. So similar fonts, heading fonts should be the same color, the same font face throughout your site. A good way to illustrate that, and if you have concerns, especially if you have multiple authors on your site, one thing you could do is utilize page layouts. And let's go to our news site and look at one of our news stories, and I'll show you how page layouts are set up. So this is a news story. We have our title up here, we have an image, we have our text, and then we have a couple of related articles. So you can set it up so that the format is the same across every single news article that is published, regardless of author, and the author doesn't really even need to know necessarily what the format is supposed to be, because the page handles that. So let's just go and edit this page, go into edit mode so you can see what it looks like. So here we've got a field for our page title. We have a field for our page image, and we could go change that image if we want by clicking on image in the ribbon, and we could put an address into a new image, or we could upload one here. We can change our content, type in whatever text we want, and then we could add in some related article links in the summary links web part. And so the author doesn't really have control of the layout. The only thing they have control to is the content on the page. So when we save this page, it's always going to look the same. You know, of course, each article is going to look different because it's going to have a different image and different content, but the format is going to look the same across all articles. So that's using page layouts. Let's go back to our home page and just kind of examine that a little bit more for the design aspect. So one of our tips was you should use a good balance of images and white space. And so you can see, and this is kind of related to the content one as well. You don't want to have too much clutter, too much content, too much words. We've got a nice balance of images here and text and enough white space in between everything so it's not all jumbled up. Let's talk about optimizing your graphics. So I had mentioned that, you know, it doesn't matter what size of graphic that you upload. You know, you could have a giant graphic that you downloaded from your smartphone camera, and if you upload that directly into SharePoint and then put a link to it on your SharePoint page, you can resize it on the fly, but you have to download that entire image. So you want to keep those, you want to resize your images before you upload them to SharePoint. And let's just go and look at our site collection images library. You can see how I've done that. I'm not going to open each image, but if we just hover over them, you're going to see the image size. 12 kilobytes, 18 kilobytes, 10, and 11. That's pretty small for images, and so we know that these images aren't going to take very long to download. Going back to the home page again, let's talk about contrasting colors in your design. So if we look at this blue up here, this royal blue, and we've got kind of a light gray here as a kind of a secondary color, and then white background. That's a really good contrast of light and dark to complement the site. What you would not want to do is, say, have like a navy blue and black as your main colors. That's just, it's too dark, and it's not going to be visually pleasing or easy to read. And the last thing I want to mention here is having consistent hyperlink colors. So blue, typically in this out-of-the-box theme, the links are going to be blue no matter where you're at. And the other thing is it is always also helpful to have a different color for links that have already been clicked on. So if you had a whole page of links, for example, it's easier for the users to tell which links they've already clicked on if they're looking through a bunch of them, for example.